Hi, this is Miss Putman. I am a fourth grade teacher at Eastfield Global Magnet School. I am going to work today on reviewing how to do NBT5 multiplying 2 by 2 digit numbers using the area model. Now, you can also do 3 by 1 or 2 by 1, which is like 26 times 2 or 345 times 6. But today I am only going to focus on 2 by 2 because that seems to be the hardest one for students to grasp. Now, before we get started, I do want to say I know things are a little crazy and upside down, and we're stretched to the max with stress, but together we'll come through this. All right, let's get started. I have been teaching remotely for a while, so I will be using Sketchpad. Sketchpad, I'm actually new to this program, but I feel like I got a good understanding of it. But be patient with me as I do work with this. Um, okay, so today, like I said, we're going to be working with 2 by 2 digit numbers, and we're going to first work with, let's start little small. We'll start with the numbers 24 times, let's do 35. All right, so the first thing we're going to have to do is look at my place value. And looking at my place value, I know I have ones and tens. So I will need to take a large rectangle like this, and I will need to cut it into 4 because we do have 2 by 2, so we need to leave room for 4 equations. Now, this is what we call scaled drawing, and the reason I have this scaled drawing is because you'll notice when we get the product of answers, the bigger ones will be in the bigger box and so forth. However, you're welcome to do it not scaled and just do a regular rectangle cut in 4 equal parts, whichever works best for you. But I will stick with this particular box for now. But I am going to take my equation and I'm going to move it up here so I have a little, whoops, a little bit more room to work. So 24 times 35. Now I'm going to erase that. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to work with expanded form. And now I always tell my students to put the first number on top and the second going down the side. It doesn't matter either way. However, it does matter that it's an expanded form and in the correct spot. So we have 24 and then 30. Oops, 35. Okay, just remember that's a 0. That looks like a funky 0. All right, so the first step we do, we are working, I'm going to call this box 1. We'll call this one box 2, box 3, and then box 4. Students do not need to write this, and nor do you. This is just a visual for you to see what I'm working with. So in box 1, I will be doing 30 times 20. Now, 30 times 20, oh my goodness, that's a terrible 0. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure why I can't get that 0. All right, there we go. 30 times 20. So I know 30 times 10 is 300, and if I double that, I do get 600. Now, some of us just know our multiplication tables extremely well, and we know about zeros. Now, moving on to box 2, I will be with numbers 30 and 4. So I will do 30 times 4, and I know that 30 times 4 is 120 because 30 times 10, 30 times, I'm so sorry, 30 times 1, 30 times 2, and so forth. Or I could do repetitive addition, but again, many of us know our multiplication tables very well, so we can visually see this and do mental math. The next box is box 3, and you will be using the 5 and the 20. 5 times 20, we, of course, we know is 100. And then the last box, box 4, we will be doing 5 times 4, which is 20. Now, the reason we do it this way and not the standard algorithm, they will get to that in 5th grade, but this is a good way for them to break it down and see the tens. And it's just easier for them to come up with the answer and not make as many mistakes. So after we have all our products, we're going to add all our products together. Now, it is important to keep your place value nice and neat and in order, because if not, you will come up with the wrong answer. At the end, I can show you some strategies if your student, or I'm sorry, your child is struggling with keeping it neat. And I don't encourage my students to add more than 2 or 3 numbers at a time, but because we are broken down in expanded form, it is not as difficult. So we have 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, of course, and then 2 plus 2 is 4, and 6, 7, 8. So my answer is 840. Now, if you need to check it, of course, parents, you're welcome to do the standard algorithm or use your phone, calculator, however you like. But this is how we come up with 2 by 2. I'm going to quickly go over that very briefly just one more time. Box 1 is 30 times 20. Box 2 is 30 times 4. Now, when we get to the second box, pretend that 30 is not even there. Just ignore it. The second row is 5 times 20. And then the fourth box is 5 times 4. Parents, I will tell you this right here is where most students mess up. So the best way is just for them to continue practicing. And once they get the hang of it, they tend to like it a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and I am going to ask that on this one, you pause the video so you can practice it on one by yourself. All right, so let's continue with 53 times, let's do 24. All right, maybe I shouldn't do 24. I can't do 4 as well. Let's do 23. Let's do 23. There we go. All right, so I have 4 numbers, so that means I need a large rectangle. Students, with how many in each? You got it. We need 4 boxes. And for this particular one, I'll go ahead and show you. If you just did it equally, you can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you this method. Actually, I'm going to show you after you attempt this with your child. So at this time, if you would pause the video and see if you and your child can come up with this answer. All right, welcome back. So follow along with me and check to make sure it is correct. Now, again, you could put 53 on the top or the bottom, but as long as you have the 10s and the 1s in the correct spot, the answer will still come up either way. All right, so we have 50 and then 3 and then 20 and 3. So I do 20 times 50, and I do get 1,000. Whoop, whoop. And then, oh, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. And then we'll do 20 times 3, which is 60. Bottom row, 3 times 50, 150. And then 3 times 3, which equals 9. Now, this one's a little bit harder because we do have 1,000, which is fine. But if they're still struggling with place value, they're going to, it's easy for them to mess up right here. So please look out for this. I do like to go in order of the boxes, but if I know I have a bigger number, I like to put them in order from greatest to least. It's easier on the place value. However, it is up to you and your child, their discretion, so forth. All right, so we know adding 9 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 9. 6, and this is how I do this. Some of us have a hard time still with going 6 plus 5. We go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What I like to do is I think about 6 going to 10. How many more do I need to add to 6 to get to 10, which is 4? So I do 6 plus 4 in my head, which is 10, and then I add that 1 back, and I can see that, oh, it's 11. Okay, so we're actually bringing down the 1 and carrying the 1. And now let me rephrase. I'm actually not carrying a 1. I am carrying a 100 because 60 plus 50 is 110. Okay, so we have to make sure we understand that the one that we are carrying is 100 and not just a 1. Make sure we understand our numbers. All right, so now 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 2, and bring down my thousand spot, and I have 1,219. Did you get it? Yay! If not, it's okay. Keep practicing. Um, it's a really fun skill once you get the hang of it. I think that well, in my experience, students, like I said before, who once they really master the skill, they love doing it. So, parents, with the place value, if you have a regular notebook paper, the lines, of course, go this way. Now, if you were to rotate your paper and make the holes at the top, like right here, the holes on a notebook paper, you have the notebook paper like this, and as you can tell, here's the top of your notebook paper. Here's your holes, but you had the lines coming down this way now. Of course, they're a lot straighter than mine, but you get the point. All right, so you have the lines going up and down vertical, but you can take the numbers like 346, and then let's do 152. You put each number in a certain line to keep on a certain line to keep it neat. So you have 346 plus 152. I would start at the top because, as you can see, I just ran out of room. There we go. And I know when I add, sometimes I do have to regroup to the next place value. But as you can see, it keeps the numbers easy to read in a straight line so students don't accidentally get the place value off. Another method is using grid paper, if you have grid paper. If not, you can get some off the internet. Real simple, real easy. I know many places, Walmart or Hobby Lobby, any places like that, they carry grid paper, but you put the numbers in each number in a box, and it keeps it nice and neat as well. Again, it would look a lot better on grid paper because you can tell mine is not real neat. Um, so those are different strategies keeping your place value. Now, one more thing I do recommend before finishing this video is when you do problems like this, try to stay up in the 76 times 87, because students really struggle with numbers 7, 8, 9. They know the multiplications. They just have to really think about it because it is a little tricky for students. So that is something I would stick with, is the higher numbers. And if you have any questions at all, please message me. I'll be happy to help. I will be happy to do 3x1 problems if you'd like, or 2x1, whichever you decide, but you just let me know. I do hope this has helped you some. Oh, one more thing. I meant to tell you this. If your child is still struggling with multiplication, you don't need fancy flashcards. You don't need manipulatives. I mean, you can use those things. Those are great. But if you are a bare minimal person, you don't like to, I guess, create a mess, then you can easily go back to the old school method and draw circles, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. You can create an array however you like, whatever you decide. But students do have the skills to solve these problems that are higher. So don't just give them the answer right away. If they ask, Mom, what's 7 times 7? Don't just say 49. Let them figure it out. Have them start, what's 7 times 5? Work your way up, or draw it out, repetitive addition. But do let them not necessarily struggle, but let it challenge them, because that's where that critical thinking really kicks in. If we were to consistently give them the answer, and sometimes we don't realize we're doing it, but that is something to keep in mind. Let them struggle and challenge with it, and let them maybe get it wrong. And as you can see, while they're working it out, figure out where exactly they're messing up at, and make note of that. I think that would be very helpful. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that y'all have a fabulous weekend. And I will be doing more videos, but if there's specific kinds that you'd like me to do, you just let me know. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks again.